Hello, my name is Arya, and this is my real-life story. I have a crazy rich boss who has been forcing me to marry him for over a year now. He is an older widower with 3 kids. His late wife was my mom's younger sister, which makes his kids my cousins. Now let me start from the beginning. I live in a small town in a neighboring country of Thailand. When I was still in high school, my mom would always tell me stories about her sister, my Aunt May, who had passed away many years before I was born. She would tell me how beautiful she was, how talented she was, how everyone loved her. So even though I never got to meet her, I felt like I knew her and I really wished that I had a chance to meet her. Then one day when I turned 18, my mom told me that she had found her sister's family. Apparently they had moved to another country after her sister passed away. But now they were coming back to visit their relatives. And so I finally got the opportunity to meet my Aunt May's family. My aunt had 2 brothers, my Uncle Joe and Uncle Ken. And then there was my cousin, who was only 1 year older than me. We immediately got along really well. I remember thinking he was so handsome, tall and charming. But it didn't take long for him to move to another country to study at university, and so we lost contact. Fast forward to when I graduated high school. I was unsure what to do with my life, and so I decided to work at a local factory while figuring things out. It was here that I met my best friend, Bella. She became my closest confidant, knowing all of my secrets and dreams. I told her that I had always wanted to go abroad to study, and she encouraged me to apply to universities in Korea, Japan, and China. At that time, my cousin, who I hadn't seen in years, had already graduated from university in Korea and was working there. I thought that moving to Korea would be the perfect opportunity to reconnect with him. So I applied to several universities, and thankfully got accepted to one of them. However, I didn't have enough money to cover tuition and living expenses. It was then that my best friend Bella suggested that I ask her brother for help. "Don't worry, Arya," she said. "He has a lot of money and he's also the CEO of his own company. I'm sure he will agree." Even though I was hesitant at first, I eventually agreed to meet her brother. When we met, I was shocked to learn that he was my cousin, Ken. All grown up, he was even more handsome than I remembered, and I couldn't believe that he was a CEO. But even though he seemed kind and generous, I could tell that he wasn't comfortable with me asking for money. "Arya, I know that you want to go to college, but I don't have any extra money right now. I'm sorry," he said. I was disappointed, but I understood that he was busy running his business, and I didn't want to pressure him anymore. However, Bella wasn't happy with Ken's response. "Why are you being so mean, Ken? Don't you owe this to your family?" she yelled. Ken looked taken aback by her outburst, and I tried to calm her down, but she just kept yelling at him until he eventually relented. All right, I will pay for your tuition and living expenses. But that doesn't mean that I will give you money for spending or anything else," he said firmly. I thanked him profusely and promised that I wouldn't make him regret his generosity. But unfortunately, when I arrived in Korea, I learned that Ken had actually lied about paying for everything. Even though he had covered my tuition and housing, I still needed money for food and other necessities. I was too proud to ask him for more money, but I was also too embarrassed to ask anyone else. So I ended up struggling financially for the entire semester. That's when I started working part-time jobs every day after class to make ends meet. But even though I was working hard, I still barely had enough money to survive. I missed home and I missed my friends. And I couldn't help but feel resentful towards my cousin Ken for putting me in this situation. One day when I was walking home from work, I saw a flashy sports car driving past me. It was the same model that my cousin drove, and suddenly I had the urge to confront him and demand more money. But when I arrived at his house, he wasn't there. Instead, I saw a beautiful woman coming out of his car. She was stunning with fair skin, a slim figure, and long, luscious hair. It was clear that she was Ken's girlfriend, and I couldn't help but feel jealous. As I watched them drive off together, I made up my mind that I would find a way to get back at Ken. The next day at work, I overheard some coworkers talking about a new project that Ken's company was working on. They were saying that Ken was looking for a personal assistant to help him manage everything. And since I was working at Ken's company as a part-time employee, I thought that I was the perfect candidate for the job. So I went to the HR department and asked them if I could apply for the position. At first they said no, because I wasn't a full-time employee. But when I explained that I was interested in leaving my current position to work as a PA, they agreed to pass my resume on to the hiring manager. A few days later, I was called in for an interview. And to my surprise, Ken himself was the one who conducted it. I put on a fake smile and did my best to show him that I was the perfect candidate for the job. And thankfully, he hired me on the spot. I started working as Ken's PA the next day. And it wasn't long before I noticed that he was acting weird around me. He would blush and stutter when I talked to him, and he would often compliment me on my appearance. I thought that maybe he was just being nice, but then he started coming on to me. One night we were working late in the office, and Ken suddenly grabbed my shoulders and started kissing me passionately. I was shocked and scared, but he didn't stop until I pushed him away. "Ken, what are you doing? How could you treat your PA like this?" I exclaimed. He looked at me sheepishly and apologized, but I knew that he wasn't truly sorry. In fact, over the next few weeks, he continued to harass me at work, and I felt like I had no one to turn to for help. One day I was going through some documents when I came across something shocking. Ken and his girlfriend had signed a prenuptial agreement stating that if they ever broke up, his girlfriend would have to pay him millions of dollars. It was clear that Ken had only been dating her for her money, and I couldn't help but feel angry and betrayed. That's when I decided that I needed to escape this toxic work environment. So I quit my job the next day and went back to my home country. I was heartbroken and didn't know what to do with my life. But then one day, Bella called me and offered to let me move in with her. I accepted her offer, and soon I was living with her and her husband, who was, of course, my cousin Ken. Now, at first, Ken acted like nothing had happened between us. But as the days went by, he started coming on to me again, and I soon realized that he hadn't changed at all. One night, Ken came up behind me and tried to hug me, but I turned around and slapped him. "How could you do this to me? You're married," I cried. He looked at me in disbelief. "What are you talking about? I'm not married," he said. And that's when Bella walked in on us and screamed, "What the hell, Ken? You're supposed to love me. Why are you touching Arya like that?" I can explain," Ken stammered. But Bella wasn't having it. She kicked him out of the house and then turned to me. "Arya, I'm so sorry about what happened between us. If I had known that Ken was going to treat you like this, I would have never invited you to live with us," she said. I understood that she didn't know any more than I did, and so I assured her that it was okay. However, I couldn't help but feel angry and betrayed by my cousin. That's when I decided to confront him. I went to his house and rang the doorbell. When he opened the door, I told him that I knew about his prenuptial agreement with his girlfriend and that I was furious about how he had treated her. He looked at me in disbelief. "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying," he said. "Oh, really? Then why did you come on to me at work? And why did you try to hug me last night?" I asked. He took a step back. I'm sorry, Arya. I shouldn't have done that. But I can't control my feelings for you," he said. "Your feelings? You already have a wife." "What are you talking about?" I exclaimed. "Yes, but she's only there for my money. I'm not in love with her. I never have been," he said. "So what does that make me?" I asked. He took another step back. I don't know what to say," he stammered. "Well, I do. Leave me alone," I said. He looked at me for a moment, then slowly backed away. "All right, Arya. I won't bother you again. But please know that I love you and I will always be here for you," he said. I rolled my eyes and shook my head. "You're delusional, Ken. Just leave me alone," I said. He sighed and turned to leave. "All right, Arya, if that's what you want. But please know that I love you and I will always be here for you," he said. I knew that Ken wasn't giving up, and I was right. Over the next few weeks, he continued to show up at my house unannounced and beg me to marry him. Of course, I refused, but he didn't seem to care. He would cry and beg me to change my mind, but I was firm in my decision. One day, Ken showed up at my house and told me that he had made a decision. "What is it?" I asked. "I'm getting a divorce," he said. "What?" I exclaimed. "But why?" "Because I want to marry you, Arya. I don't want to live a life where I have to pretend to love someone else. I love you and I want to be with you," he said. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ken, the man who had treated his wife so badly, was now saying that he wanted to divorce her for me. "Are you serious?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, I'm serious. I want to marry you, Arya. I know that we haven't known each other for very long, but I can't wait any longer. I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you," he said. I was stunned. I had never imagined that Ken would actually go through with a divorce, but it seemed like he was serious. "But what about your wife? How could you just divorce her like that?" I asked. "I've already filed for divorce and it's going through. I don't love her and I never did. The only reason I married her was because she had money, but that doesn't matter anymore, because now I have you," he said. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ken had divorced his wife of less than a year just so that he could marry me, and he was acting like nothing had happened, like his wife's feelings didn't matter at all. "You're heartless, Ken," I said. He looked at me in disbelief. "What?" "You're heartless. You have no feelings for your wife. You only married her for her money. And now you're divorcing her without a second thought." "I can't believe that you're so selfish," I said. He looked down. "I'm sorry, Arya, but I can't live a life where I have to pretend to love someone else. I love you and I want to be with you. I know that we haven't known each other for very long, but I can't wait any longer," he said. "I don't care about any of that, Ken. You're divorcing a human being. You're not just divorcing an object or something. Your wife is a human being with feelings, and you're just throwing her away like she's nothing. I can't believe that you're so cold-hearted," I said. He looked at me in disbelief. "What?" "You're cold-hearted," I said. And with that, I turned and walked away. As I walked away, I heard Ken calling my name, but I didn't bother to look back. I couldn't believe that my cousin, the man that I had once looked up to, was so selfish and cold-hearted. After that day, Ken continued to show up at my house begging me to marry him. But I refused. I couldn't bear the thought of marrying a man who had so little regard for his wife's feelings. Now, fast forward to today, and Ken is still begging me to marry him. He comes to my house every day crying and saying that he loves me, but I refuse to listen. I don't want to be with a man who treats women like disposable objects. And that's my real-life story.